have such sights to show you.
Oh yes. Now I don't know if this is the start of a new Yuri revolution or something, but f me with a forklift. I'm freaking loving every single second of it. In case you're out of the loop, a metric ton of Yuri anime have been announced in the last few months. And as the resident talking about Yuri anime guy, I feel it is my responsibility to share all these upcoming Yuri things with you. Now almost all these anime announcements are adaptations of existing Yuri manga, so let's make that clear first. Secondly, these are mostly Yuri manga that I've heard of but have yet to read. So if you want to be a smartass and insult me for my lack of Yuri knowledge, then be my guest. My only request is that you keep any spoiler information to yourself. No need to be a smartass and a jerk too. And thirdly, because this is my video, I get to make my own stupid rules, which is why I will not be talking about the following 3 Yuri anime. The reason is because I already made videos discussing them in detail. So if you want my insight, you can check the links to each of them in the description below. Alright, let's get it on. First up is the anime that set the Yuri world on fire with its fire trailer. It's I Wanna Love You Till Your Dying Day. And here we have a story about a young girl named Totsuki Shina, who was raised in a totally sane orphanage that trains all the little orphans to be magical soldiers and fight in a totally sane war. One day, Shina encounters a bummer when her roommate is killed in action, and as she grieves on the night of her death, a freaky little girl covered in blood appears before her. That freak was Kaguri Mimi, a powerhouse magical soldier who seems to take great joy in killing. And boy is she good at killing too, as she is the orphanage's so-called secret weapon, being a scourge on the battlefield and having unlimited respawn ability. The seemingly invincible killing machine becomes Shina's new roommate, and takes a liking to our understandably freaked out protagonist. How will this odd couple face an ever-increasing dangerous world together? Don't know, but presumably with lots of blood and the occasional snuggling. So as I mentioned, the trailer absolutely floored me. I'm not too familiar with the manga itself, but the fact that any Yuri series can receive such a high quality announcement trailer is quite astounding. Obviously, this is going to be a dark fantasy. Emphasis on dark. But most importantly, it looks like it's going to be really, really gay. Emphasis on gay. Now, adolescent anime girls killing each other is nothing new, so I have to wonder what kind of cards they have up their sleeves to make this anime really stand out. Regardless, they won me over with their kick-ass animation and in-your-face Yuri, so I expect big things to come from this big gay anime. Alright, our next anime is something I am quite familiar with. It's Young Ladies Don't Play Fighting Games, and true to the title, it follows Mitsuki Aya, a refined young lady who attends a refined young ladies school that teaches young ladies to be very refined. One day, Aya encounters the school's top refined young lady, Yuri Mio, aka the White Lily. Because of course she's called that. But to the surprise of no one in the audience, it turns out Mio was keeping a deep dark secret. She plays epic fighting games in the dead of night while everyone else very gracefully slumbers away. And of course it's our protagonist Aya who discovers the secret. And to the shock of no one yet again, Aya herself was also proficient in these brutish fighting games. Now with her unladylike hobbies discovered, the two Ojo-sama satiate their gamer genes by beating the crap out of each other in the virtual world. All while keeping their hardcore gamer sides under wraps from the school. GG, you wild and crazy kids, you. Now, if you're getting deja vu, don't worry. You're not the only one. Obviously, we were recently graced with the amazing Rock is a Lady's Modesty, a show with pretty much the exact same premise, just switch rock music with fighting games. Now, as someone who has read some of the manga, I will say that they do keep things fresh and entertaining. Now, in terms of the anime, what I was not expecting was the full-blown use of Street Fighter 6 as the resident video game. In the manga, they came up with an original, albeit generic fighting game that makes use of existing fighting game tropes. But in the trailer, they actually had Capcom's permission to feature Street Fighter in the show. Now, in retrospect, I can see why they chose to do this. It's obviously easier than coming up with an original video game and creating the specs for that, especially since the characters in the series hyper-analyze the game's meta. So of course it has to look good and feel authentic. What I want to know is, did they choose Street Fighter 6 first, or did the developers of Tekken and Guilty Gear straight up said no to them? Anyway, aside from the gamer aspect, the most important order of business is the Yuri. Let's just say if you like Lilasa and Ota's relationship in Rock Lady, you'll have no problem latching on to the main duo in Ojo-sama gamers. There's even a comparable amount of sweat and profanity if you can believe it. I mean, I know I can. Just go to a Smash Bros. LAN tournament. That shit's brutal on your senses. So our next series has made quite the splash in the Yuri world. It's the guy she was interested in wasn't a guy at all. Or Green Yuri as fans affectionately named it. So as the name implies, it follows fellow Gyaru Osawa Aya, who habitually frequents a certain record shop to peruse through her favorite rock albums, and to check out the tall, dark, and handsome dude working there. That That dude was Koga Mitsuki, and it turns out that dude was actually not a dude at all. She's also not the dude, or his dudeness, or duder, or even El Duderino. She was Aya's nerdy wallflower classmate who merely hides her appearance when working at the record store. And unlike most manga/anime cliches, Mitsuki's male disguise actually looks convincing. And with her style, mystique, and taste in rock music, Aya fell head over heels in love with the dashing Mitsuki. So with her identity still under wraps, how will Mitsuki break the news to her new admirer? And will Aya's love go unrequited? Or will she find the courage to confess to the guy/girl of her rock and roll dreams? So I've heard a lot about this manga but never got around to reading it. And trust me, you don't have to convince me on how great it is. It has an adorably sweet premise, a phenomenal art style courtesy of Arai Sumiko, and a complete devotion to one of my only preferred genres of music. But seeing how popular the series has gotten over the years, it was no shock to learn that I was given the anime treatment. Now so far there's next to no info on the anime itself, but one thing the series does have is a drama CD which released in April 2024. And typically the people who voice the characters in drama CDs go on to work on the anime too. So look forward to Mitsuki being voiced by the fabulous Issei Maria, and Aya being voiced by the second love of my life, Kito Akari. All in all, the upcoming anime has a lot of potential, with plenty of wacky Yuri hijinks to ensue, and of course kick-ass rock music to bang our heads to. I just wonder how many royalties they'll have to give to certain musicians and rock bands. Alrighty, the next series is one that actually slipped under my radar completely, which is kinda surprising considering it's made by Kuzushiro. It's called The Moon on a Rainy Night, and what we have here is a story about a normal high schooler named Kindaichi Saki, who one day on her way to piano lessons had a cliche anime encounter with Oikawa Kanon after bumping into her at an intersection. The only thing that was missing was a slice of bread in her mouth. After falling and scraping her hand, Saki noticed Kanon retrieving Saki's piano sheets, and even offering her a band-aid. And just like that, Kanon was back on her way, all without uttering a single word. And continuing the cliche anime beats again, Saki discovers that the cool and silent beauty was her new classmate. And not only that, she was also deaf too. But Kanon was far from helpless. In fact, she practically takes offense to any act of support in regards to her disability. Because of her cold, independent demeanor, she becomes nearly impossible to approach for her classmates. But that doesn't stop the curious Saki from learning more about her. And with that, the two girls' intimate and slightly awkward relationship begins. Oh, and music is somehow involved too. Now, from what I've heard about this series, it's basically a slow, methodical romance that handles the subject of being disabled quite tastefully. Which is great because I've been craving a Yuri anime with more serious undertones lately. I mean, romantic comedies are fine and all, but it's always good to add a different bit of spice to this melting pot. Perhaps something sweet and sour with a little bit of passion on the side. Anyway, just like Green Yuri, I look forward to another Yuri anime that puts more focus on its two leads. Just a simple love story is all it takes to soothe your soul now and then. Though it's probably easier with somber piano music than hardcore rock music. Now our next anime is both the greatest and worst thing that can happen. It's Does It Count If You Lose Your Virginity to an Android? And aside from asking deep philosophical questions, it also tells a story of a beautiful office lady named Suda Akane, a total go-getter who excels at her career, but is a total slob in private. One night in her usual drunken stupors, she scoured the net trying to find herself a sexy maid to clean up her trash-filled apartment. And whatever site she was on had to be from the deepest crevices of the dark web, because the next day she found herself in possession of the sexiest sex bot in all of Sexy Town. Her name was Nadeshiko, a state-of-the-art pleasure robot designed to fulfill all your wildest carnal desires. And she's dead set on testing her premium functions on her luckiest protagonist. There's just one itty-bitty problem. Sex robots are strictly illegal to own. Now finding herself between a rock and some soft titties, Akane must keep Nadeshiko from being discovered at all cost. But that's a Herculean task when the mechanical wonder is adamant on making Akane register herself as her official owner. And she will do anything to achieve that goal. Now, to the shock of no one, I'm actually quite familiar with this manga. In fact, I'm trying to hold back as much as possible from going gushing grannies over it. But the important thing to talk about in regards to the upcoming anime is how it's gonna be executed. As I alluded to in the beginning, this is everything I could ever ask for in a smutty Yuri rom-com. But then they had to flip us the bird when they said that this was gonna be a short-form anime. Probably just a handful of episodes that are only a few minutes long at best. I kinda wanna rant about this in a future video. But for now, I'll show some gratitude that one of the most blatantly sexual Yuri manga is getting animated. And trust me, that's definitely a big W for Yuri fans and perverts everywhere. Alright, moving on, we have something a bit more chill and easygoing. It's called Kamiina Botan, the drunken appearance as a lily flower. And here we have a cute girl series starring the titular character Kamiina Botan, a university student who's bad with carbonated drinks as they make her tummy go. On the day of her dorm welcome party, she spotted a girl drinking all by herself. That girl was Tonami Ibuki, the dorm leader of the house Botan was staying in. And the reason Ibuki chooses to drink alone is so that no one can hear her hiccups after she chugs down a cold one. After offering Botan a sip of her highball, Botan reveals her own embarrassing alcohol quirk, on top of the fact that she can get pretty sexually forward when she's drunk. And so the two girls start their adorable alcohol-filled friendship, alongside other supportive and equally gay comrades. So from the sound of it, I would guess that this series is basically food for the soul, but with a Takonomi spin on it. But much, much gayer. And also, if I were to guess, I suspect that the anime will probably be somewhat high class. I know that they're gonna do some in-depth look at different alcoholic drinks, so to really sell that, they have to make it nice and appealing. Then there's also the matter of transcribing Hei-sensei's sophisticated art style. What I'm trying to say is that the anime has to look smooth as hell. I'm kinda picturing it to be on the level of a Kebi sailor uniform. A slice-of-life masterpiece that causes your eyes to orgasm. Now the good news is that Kamiina is being animated by Soine, which is the same studio that handled the recent anime Mono. And I'm actually quite pleased to hear this, because I have very high praise with how that anime was executed. In fact, it may be one of the best looking SOL shows I've ever seen. Also, I know I said I'd finally watch Yuri Camp if Mono turned out to be good. And of course I will, but I never said when I would watch it though.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Now our last Yuri anime is gonna be quite the head turner. It's called Roll Over and Die. I will fight for an ordinary life with my love and curse. So this dark fantasy series focuses on a girl named Flum Apricot, a member of the prestigious hero party tasked with defeating the Demon Lord. And just like an RPG, everyone in the world is born with stats and MP. However, Flum's special ability, Inversion, caused her to roll absolute 0 on every single stat. One day, a member of her hero party had enough of Flum's dead weight and sold her into slavery against her will. And while in her holding cell, the douchebag slaver decided to just kill her and the remaining slaves off using douchebag zombies. With no other means of defending herself, Flum was forced to use a cursed sword found in their holding cell. A sword that would normally kill the user. However, after picking the sword up, Flum's stats went through the roof. It turns out Flum's inversion ability would reverse the effects of all cursed items. So instead of melting away her flesh, it would heal them when she took damage. After making quick work of all those assholes, Flum would ask the surviving slave girl and herself to come with her. That girl was Murkit, and she and Flum would carve out a new path together. A path filled with violence, trauma, and maybe even some romance. Once again, I have read a little of the manga, and like most dark fantasies, it is not for the faint of heart. It's gonna be pretty wild seeing all the blood and guts animated. I mean, I know it's wishful thinking, but hopefully they can somewhat compare to Midakata Sanao's godlike talents. There still isn't a studio listed yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out to be Diomedia, the same studio that did Riddle's Story of Devil. I at least hope they can get someone who can do a decent job adapting the f***ing story. Anyway, some good times are upon us with this crazy love fantasy. With this, Dying Day, Watatabe, and of course the new Monica movie, it looks like dark Yuri fantasies are making a triumphant comeback. Just don't call it a comeback. And finally, I want to give a special mention to these 4 particular anime. They aren't necessarily Yuri, but it makes sense for a Yuri fan to keep a close eye on them. I'm talking about the Love Life Hasuna Sora movie, the new Licorice Recoil project, Season 2 of Bocchi the Rock, and the possible 4th season of Is the Order a Rabbit. I'm almost as excited for these 4 as I am the other anime on this list. So with that, I think it's safe to say that we'll be eating some very f***ing good food. Once again, I will be making dedicated videos on some of these anime in the future. And of course, feature them in Let's Talk Yuri videos when their anime season roll around. If you want an example of those, just watch my latest one. It's good for the heart, soul, and sex life. So which Yuri anime are you anticipating the most? Share your thoughts below. And as usual, if you care for videos like this, then let me know that too. I'll keep making Yuri content till my dying day. But obviously, it makes me feel warm and fuzzier if people are giving a damn. Especially if I try making different types of Yuri videos. I just want to see what sticks and what doesn't. Alright, that's it. See you around.